Hi, and thank you for joining me. My name is Rob Scott, publisher at UC Today, and I'm really excited to present this year's UC Trends series. If you're a fan of UC Today, then you'll know that every October we run a special video series called UC Trends. In this insightful video series, I talk to senior executives from trailblazing vendors in UC, collaboration and CX, and discuss their perspective of the marketplace and what they predict will be the next year's game changers. We will also have some fun with them at the end of the main interview session with some quick fire questions to reveal a bit more about their personality and what makes them tick. Stand by for UC Trends 2021. As unified communications makes waves across the world as the new way of communicating at work, technology vendors are working tirelessly to differentiate their platforms. Whilst UC's strength is unifying voice, messaging and meetings, it's also about seamless interactions between users, teams, customers and machines from any location and on any device. I'm delighted to welcome to the virtual studio Anand Eswaran, RingCentral's Chief Operating Officer. Anand, thank you for joining me for UC Trends 2021. I know RingCentral's had another fantastic year, but really keen to get to know you, a little bit more about what's been happening at RingCentral this year and what you see coming up in 2021. Plus, we're going to have a bit of fun at the end with some quick fire questions, so hold on tight. But before we get started, really with the main questions, how about we start with a bit of an introduction? Tell us a little bit about how you got into unified communications and come to work as president and COO at RingCentral.
Rob, pleasure to join firstly, and hello to everyone watching. Thank you for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to speak. So just a brief introduction of me. My life has been spent from working on different companies of different sizes, from startups to scale organizations, little startups early in my career, from Vignette to scale organizations, HP, SAP, Microsoft, and now RingCentral. So it's been a fascinating journey for me so far. And most recently, when I was at Microsoft, I witnessed firsthand the emergence of new services such as Slack, and Zoom, and RingCentral at that point in time, and also the focus we as a company when I was there put on Teams, and so that was my first blooding in some ways of unified communications as a topic, the importance of collaboration, the importance of customer experience, the importance of contact centers, and there formed a conviction that the way people communicate, collaborate, and work is going to undergo constant and disruptive change. And given that, I always feel that there's a need for technology to adopt to the needs of the individual versus the way it is today. And over a course of time, as I started to know RingCentral, as I got to know Vlad Shmunis, our founder, chairman, and CEO, I did feel that RingCentral had all the raw materials and the ingredients and the market share and the products and the innovation velocity where this could actually disrupt and reshape the entire category of UCaaS as we know it. So that's what led me to come here, join Vlad and the executive team. And what also helped the little things was the focus on people, the focus on diversity, the focus on inclusion, the focus on innovation as a first principle. So all that put together, I'm here at RingCentral.
And welcome. So let's talk about the marketplace first of all. Unified communications, something that we've had, bandied about for many, many years, but really this seems to be UC's time now. And I was keen to hear from you kind of how you would describe the marketplace and really the dynamics of the marketplace and what the opportunity is for RingCentral.
Absolutely. The way if I just look at the marketplace and this really well, which is we still have a large amount of people who use on-premise based unified communications solutions. 400 million plus users on-prem, and only 10, 11, 12, depending on who you ask, million users on the cloud. I always felt that unified communications was, sort of at a tipping point to move to the cloud, to UCaaS. But what we all know has happened in the last few months with COVID is it's just basically it's gone beyond the tipping point. It sort of become the new normal. Every company needs to have a cloud-based unified communications as a service solution to enable their people to communicate, because there is nobody who's physically working from the office on physical desk phones. This is a reality of a digital global universe we live in. And so we've just had the mother of all inflection points, which is going to create more than a tipping point for the world of unified communications. There's other things which come in the way, which is going to sort of determine, the companies which thrive, and also how we need to go from here. The fact that almost every company is global. We live in a very small, flat world right now, and so communication solutions need to make sure that they are global. They can serve an employee sitting in Taiwan and the United States of America and London and other parts of the world at the same time. It needs to be able to serve any device working in any mode. And so the richness of any mode, any device, any location needs to be enabled. And that becomes a pretty critical reason for companies to succeed or not. And then there's also, beyond what unified communications I see is going to start to add value is it's not just going to be the pane of glass we see right now. It's all about also enriching communications, which is what the digital medium provides us with technologies like AI. And finally, it's about making people more productive. So how do you give them a single pane of glass with your unified communications so they can stay on it and do every aspect of the work they need to do? And so those are all the other things which come into play to change the way. I mean, literally, it's not just communicate the way we used to, but just differently with the screen between us, but change the way people communicate, collaborate, and work. That's the opportunity, and that's why there's going to be a huge, I wouldn't call it resurgence, but a huge change in the trajectory of what this space, what unified communications as a service and cloud-based communications means to people, which eventually will determine success in the market.
Thank you for that, Anand. In terms of your standout moments as a company across the last 12 months, what really stands out for you?
It's been such a fascinating time. It's been a time which gives you poise, and so I would probably just first start with just pausing for a moment to reflect on and acknowledge the impact many businesses have had because of COVID-19. And we've been very fortunate to enable so many customers, in their need to adapt and so quickly change in new and uncharted ways. So if I just, reflect on it, we've helped our customers pivot to the work from home environment literally overnight. I mean, for example, Goosehead Insurance enable more than 2,200 users to work from anywhere. I mean, in this instance, work from home, literally overnight. I mean, literally overnight. Aviana Healthcare, I mean, so critical in the space of serving patients, enabled all their agents, hundreds of them, to actually become fully productive remotely within 48 hours using the RingCentral platform. So I think the first thing for me is just the impact we have had and the opportunity to serve our customers in this time of need. That's the first thing I would reflect on. The second thing I'd probably reflect on standout, not standout moments and things we feel humbled to be able to do is we offered RingCentral free pretty immediately to all the first responders across nonprofits, healthcare, education, and contact center employees. And so these are people who are in the front lines of the fight against COVID-19 and enabling society to be better. And so offering a platform free and seeing the usage and seeing the impact we could have was really humbling. And then, based on the incredible work of our employees and the recognition from our customers, it's led to a few great things for the company. We've made it for the first time to the Global 2000 list this year. We got recognized as one of the most diverse places to work in the Comparably study, one of the best companies for leadership, one of the best CEOs in the business, a lot of recognitions. some of the best places to work across all locations we were in, from Denver to Charlotte, which was great. We transitioned to become $1 billion company and crossed that magic mark this year, which was wonderful. As you said, early on, we signed key partnerships this year. Partnerships are a critical component of our strategy and our growth. And so we signed several new strategic partnerships. We had talked about Avaya. In the last 12 months, we announced our partnership with Atos Unify. We announced our partnership with Alcatel-Lucent. These are very critical components, and we are humbled to have these significant providers of the on-prem solutions as our partners. Our open platform continues to grow significantly. Today, we have over 40,000 developers and 4,000 plus integrations. We just crossed that 40,000 and 4,000 mark just a week ago. So that's humbling. And then we announced a key product for the company right at the onset of the pandemic. This was the biggest product launch we did, and we did it while working from home. Our own video product, RingCentral Video, bringing message, and it sort of brings message, video, phone together in one modern application. This goes back to the any mode I talked about, which fits to the needs of the user. Our international expansion has been a highlight for us this year. In fact, just last week we announced the opening of the German data center. Again in the context of global expansion. We have bolstered our talent. I mean, while we have incredible people and they're growing, we've also been able to attract significant new leaders coming into the company. A new chief revenue officer, Phil Sorgen, a new person who leads a leader for global operations, Matthew Bishop, a new CHRO, Gunjan Agarwal. And finally, we have started to make progress on key verticals as again an inflection point of our strategy, including healthcare, education, as they move to the cloud. So a lot of different things, but at the heart of it, it comes back to the impact we have for our customers to help them connect with their employees and their customers more effectively, better, and from anywhere.
Thank you. Let's just think about the current trends at the moment then. I mean, remote working is a big one as a result of COVID, home working, digital transformation. Now, we've been talking about digital transformation for a number of years, but no one quite expected it to really all happen at once like it did this year. But what other trends are really impacting our marketplace right now? And how do you see that playing out going forward?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Obviously the first trend is everybody is working from home right now. And so that is fundamentally, caused every company to pause. Companies which were not ready to serve a mobile and distributed workforce had to pretty quickly scramble. The ability to empower their employees to work from home now and work from anywhere pretty shortly is the first and the most important, structural trend, which is here to stay. It's not, a one-time event and life goes back to normal. It's a structural event which is here to change how we work going forward. The other trend, which is again going to come in, is now that this becomes a part of the norm. The questions on trust, the questions on security, the questions on reliability take front stage. It's no longer just okay to have your platform work, with 3 nines of reliability, which seem to be the norm amongst many companies. I think, every company needs to rethink on how their platform will get to 5 nines of reliability, because this is mission critical. I mean, we've been privileged that when RingCentral started out with the focus on the cloud PBX, to make business communication simple. You can't have a conversation with patchy audio. You could with patchy video. And so our foundation has been basically is grounded on a 5 nines reliability, and this is something which has been core to us, but that's something which is going to be required of all business communications, regardless of which mode you choose. So reliability, security, and trust. And trust is a bigger word than just end-to-end encryption and are you encrypting your data at rest and in transit. Trust is consistency. Are you saying what you're doing, and are you doing what you're saying? Can you be trusted? And so these are things which we have always been at the foundation of the values of the company, and so that becomes really important. An open platform because given how important people will like to be in a single pane of glass as they look at their business communications provider. So the ability to integrate with many different applications which they need to use every day is going to become pretty critical. And then finally, it's all about having a global footprint in the global world. So the business communication solution across all modes, not one, all modes, video, meetings, and phone, needs to enable a company to empower its employees from all over the world. And so, do all modes work from all over the world? Do you have a local footprint? Do you have the ability to give local phone numbers? Do you have the ability to have data centers which allow you to give comply with local regulations? And so those things come into bear as well because now this is a mission critical application, not just a nice to have.
Some really good points there, thank you. And let's just have a look at the crystal ball for a moment and peer into 2021. What do you see coming up in the future for our marketplace, for RingCentral? What opportunities, what new technologies are really going to have the greatest impact going forward?
That's a great question. This is my perspective, which is one, it starts with technology needs to adapt to the user. Right now, users have to figure out which tech they want to use and which one do they get comfortable with. And you're constantly switching because we're all at the tip of the spear and innovation is going to happen at a rapid pace. But technology needs to evolve to adapt to the user, their preferences, their working style, their time. So that's going to be the first thing, which is going to be constant change going, forward. The second I would say is we've moved pretty quickly overnight from a physical to a digital world as the pandemic settles down, as people come back to work, not to, in the offices. It's going to come back to a hybrid environment. You're never going to go back to a fully physical world. You're going to be back in a hybrid world, a mix of working digitally still and being physically live with your colleagues or with your family or with your friends. And so the hybrid environment of working is going to bring even more change on how do you make a hybrid environment as productive as I think in some ways, everyone digital is easier than a hybrid world, which will be the norm going forward. So that's number two. Number three is AI has already made a difference in communications, but it'll become front and center stage to enrich collaboration outcomes. For example, when you and I are talking, Rob, it's a pane of glass between us, and that's it. I can see the only difference is there's a screen between us versus sitting across the table, versus the opportunity to leverage AI to give you a lot more information and context when the other person is speaking on your pane of glass. So AI is going to make a huge difference, unthinkable difference to how it will enrich how we communicate and collaborate. Number four is global, increasingly global. Every application has to support every country and comply with every local regulation and law. Number five is this meld of asynchronous and synchronous communications coming together. And that's what we mean when we say MVP as RingCentral, because you have different modes of communication, messaging, video, phone, all coming together, integrated, not just from a technology standpoint, but from a experience standpoint, because that's what allows your communication to be persistent and not transient. So them coming together to create persistent communications is very critical. Then I think about trends like platforms and ecosystems. This is not just an app or a platform. It is ecosystems coming together to enable users to be incredibly productive. That's why we have spent the amount of time we have on our ecosystem, 40,000 plus developers, 4,000 plus integrations and growing. Then I think about trends like the consumerization of the enterprise. I think each person as a consumer impacts their choice of technology as an enterprise and vice versa. And so those things start to blur. There's no more distinction between a consumer and an enterprise professional. And that will influence user behavior, buying behavior, and so on. Then trust, security, reliability, breakthroughs will take big focus in a hybrid world, becomes so important. Every country is also going to start thinking about what does it mean? Is our data safe? What do I need? How do I need to think about regulation and compliance? And so every company will need to put this front and center. Five nines reliability is critical for every application platform. And then customizations to every vertical and industry. Right now, for the most part, unified communications and UCaaS has been a horizontal application. So, now you've got to think about what does it mean to enable use cases by vertical? What does it mean for telehealth as doctors will more start seeing patients in digital way? How do you enable that with all the compliance you need, HIPAA compliance? How do you do that with connecting to the different systems of record like Epic? And so vertical specific use cases will come in, and that's why we've been putting such a lot of focus on telehealth, on education, on retail, on banking. And finally, I think that's for me the most important thing. We've focused a lot on that, is the cultural evolution to help people adapt to these changes. It's not as simple as AI, tech, platforms, ecosystems, global, digital, hybrid. It's also how do we help people? Because it will be a stressful time if cultures don't evolve to help people adapt to these changes. So that's how I think about all of these things coming together, and it's going to be a fascinating time. And it's going to be a new normal for the world, but it's also going to be an inflection point of how the world changes, pre-COVID and post-COVID. And I think it'll evolve us to being better in how we communicate, collaborate, and work. It'll evolve us to being more inclusive as a global population. So I'm excited about that.
Well, thank you so much. You've covered so many points there, but equally, I'm completely agree. There's so many opportunities, and it's a very exciting marketplace. Well, certainly looks like a very exciting marketplace coming up for us all. So, thank you so much for talking to me. Now for some quick fire questions. We're gonna have some fun. Are you ready?
As ready as I can be at 7:38 in the morning, Rob.
So what was your first job?
It was a graphics design business with a bunch of friends as we were kids called Graffiti.
Well, that sounds interesting. What's your favorite day of the week?
Saturdays. Time with the family. I try to block off my phone and time for reflection.
Would you rather be able to speak any language in the world or speak to animals?
I love languages, but I'll pick animals. A voice to the sentient beings, to be a voice for them, and fascinated to see how they think.
Yeah, indeed. What's the most inspirational book you've ever read and why?
I'm an avid reader, man. So picking a book is hard. Maybe I would have said The Art of Happiness by Dalai Lama. I love that. But you know what? I'll actually pick Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. I read it when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And it sort of had an imprint on me for life. At that time, it had so many beautiful lessons: constant learning, curiosity, no blind conformity, freedom to be yourself. So it just shaped me as a person at a very, very young age.
That sounds like a great book. What's the best advice you've ever been given?
Reach for the stars. My grandmom.
If you could teleport anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Right now, India, Bangalore, to see my parents and my wife's parents. Our families are there in these COVID times. That's the one thing which keeps me awake, their health.
Voice call or video call?
Both, and maybe also add message, MVP.
Nice shout. Dawn or dusk?
I love pictures of dawn. I'm not a morning person, so I'll pick dusk.
Do you believe in fate?
No.
What's worse, ironing or gardening?
Devil in the deep sea, ironing.
Yeah, I hate ironing too. What's your most watched movie ever?
I would say Shawshank Redemption.
That is a really great movie. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Curious, compassionate, coach.
If you were given an all expenses paid trip to the north of England, would you take it?
100%, mate. Manchester, Old Trafford, Yorkshire, some of my favorite cricket grounds, any day.
Good answer. Who is your greatest inspiration?
A few, but I'd probably pick Nelson Mandela. Something he said, I'll never forget that, which is no one is born hating other people because of the color of his skin or his background on his religion, or I would say her skin or her background on her religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. So relevant in these times.
That is so true. Type, touch, or speak?
Speak just makes it so much simpler.
Elvis or the Beatles?
Beatles, every day.
Do you know what? I don't think I've met anyone that said Elvis over Beatles, so, hooray. Say good day, mate, in an Australian accent?
Good day, mate.
Brilliant. If you could go back in time for a day, what date would you go back to and why?
I'd say about 150 million years ago, which was the Cretaceous geological period, the period before the dinosaurs became extinct. To see the majestic dinosaurs and an unprecedented, I think, biodiversity, but also a world without humans would be fascinating.
It would be indeed. Which new technology will transform the future?
I think a combination of AI and neuroscience. Talk about, Elon Musk's Neuralink. That's an application which is at the intersection of the two of them. Fascinating and scary.
Yeah, I watched that. That was kind of scary and fascinating at the same time. And finally, greatest achievement ever?
Rob, I would say I'm just lucky and privileged to be where I am. Calling anything an achievement would actually be pretty presumptuous, man.
Anand, it's been really good to meet you today. Congratulations on having such a fantastic year at RingCentral, and I wish you all the very best for 2021.
We are excited as RingCentral, for serving our customers the way we have been able to. And Rob, thank you for the opportunity to come and share some of the thoughts.
My pleasure.